Thank you. Yeah. Okay, so my name's Janet, and I have over 20 years experience in making outbound phone calls, cold calling, things like that. I sort of joke because I'm in my 60s and I do need a nap every now and then. And I do that because it keeps me in the right mindset, a positive one. So telephone marketing, what are the main benefits? You can schedule meetings or appointment setting, optimize your website, and also gain that data, which is people's names, or not just people, but decision makers that you actually want to earn their business. And how do you do it? So the main things to know about are, what's your main message? Who are you reaching out to? And what is the core message? What is it you want? Most times when you call business to business, you want to schedule an introductory type of meeting. That's what I call it. So what are you selling? Where are you selling to? Like, I like to start local to my market, but I also reach out to people all over the country. And who? I'm reaching out to mostly like small businesses, could be virtual assistants, executive assistants, or business owners, anybody that's really wanting to learn more about using phone calls for their lead generation. So I want to talk a little bit about the fundamentals. You need a starter list, and formatting the list, I've learned, is critical. So you need like the company name, a field for their first name, last name, certainly a phone number, their website. But there's so much criteria, it's easy to get lost in it. So I say just start with a basic format, which is what I have here: names, company name, individuals' names, phone number, website. And after every call, you want to make good notes, especially if you speak with somebody. And if it's not the decision maker, I tell you, gatekeepers are amazing human beings. They can sometimes give you some really good basic info, not just, who to speak to, the decision maker, give out their email. They might take a live message or you send you to their voicemail. But they might say, you know what, we were just talking about something like that. We weren't sure about, how to go about it, but it might be something they would be interested in. So just little things like that. It's like, oh my gosh, it's amazing what you can find out. So the email template, I know we were just kind of talking about that, Heidi. So I always make it an introduction. So I'm sorry. So because you're making that introduction, when it's a totally cold call, you're going to want to introduce yourself. And so what I find, I have basic format, hi, my name's Janet. I specialize in marketing, or I do marketing with a specialty in outbound phone calls for lead generation using phone calls and emails. Trying to find, who would be best to reach out to, that would be a decision maker on that. And the email basically doubles as my script or talking points. I just try to make it really, really easy, because we as humans, we need to hear it, we need to read it, and we sort of scan over things. So this is an example of an email template. Who I am, I'm a marketer, and I'm even kind of skimming over it now because it takes time to read it. And a lot of times people are just like, okay, I believe you. And a lot of times you're going to hear a no, or you're not going to hear anything at all. But that doesn't mean people are not interested. I think people have expressed to me that they do appreciate the reach out. But if you haven't spoken with a decision maker, you're just kind of left in limbo. You don't know. So they may not be interested, but they might be, but they'll get to you when it's the right time for them. And some people make decisions early. Some people, it might take them a long time. So either way is fine. It's just over time, when you continue to do the phone calls, send out the emails, that's when you have that pipeline. When you talk to, a gatekeeper or maybe an assistant, you kind of have an idea. Because sometimes I'll even ask the gatekeeper, could you ask them if they might be interested or not? I don't want to waste their time or be a pest, because sometimes I do feel that way. And sometimes the gatekeeper will say, you know what? Okay, because I call them back in maybe a day or two, and they'll say, I talked to them. They might be interested, but call us back. And I hear this a lot, especially at the end of the year. Call us at the first of the year, or call us after summertime, because this is one of our busiest times. they'll give you some idea. And if they're really not interested, they'll just say, we're really not interested, but we appreciate the reach out. So this is an actual email I use with the bank I call on behalf of. So it's mostly you want to have the intro. And then for business to business, you want the email to give enough info that piques their interest so they'll schedule the meeting, because you can't sell through an email. You kind of can give them enough information and people might reply, I'm really interested, like to talk to you more. So they're still wanting to meet with you. And we do add a PDF. Some people like to do that and you can make it really nice. And some people don't like attachments because they're worried that email filters will weed out your email. And that's true, but that's where the phone calls can help to ensure that your email is read. Because I've talked with some people and I'll say, hey, I sent an email, I left you a message and sent an email a week or two ago. And I don't really say it like that, but I've had people be on the phone and say, oh, well, let me look for it. Oh, there it is. It went to my spam folder. Okay. So it does take a little bit of pushing them. And I'm sorry, I went forward there. I didn't quite mean to click that. But anyway, so you have your email and you have your voice, your talking points or your script. You want those to really line up, because the message is you want to schedule a meeting with them and you need to give them a good reason why they should meet with you. So you want to show the benefits, the value, things like that. So when I call, in my experience, I'm going to say the majority of the time I'm having to leave a message. Now that's whether I leave it on their voicemail. Sometimes I get just a general voicemail. Some companies, I've been calling in the Northeast in Massachusetts. There's some companies, they're probably $20 to $50 million. And all I have is a general voicemail or voice message that I can leave a message. I can't get permission to send the email. I can't speak with a live person. And I tried, they may have an automated attendant, or some of them just have nothing at all. Just leave a message, we'll get back to you. And that's it. But sometimes, like a gatekeeper might only work part-time. They're only there on Fridays. I happen to call a company. She says, I'm only here on Fridays and I'll answer the phone on Fridays. Oh, okay. So you just don't know. But once you speak with that decision maker, they're either going to say, yes, I'd be interested. Maybe they would, but they might say, I don't really want to schedule a meeting, but I'd like for you to send me information. That to me is a really good prospect. They're not giving you a brush off because they're actually engaging in conversation. A brush off would be more like, yeah, just send me an email, and they just kind of hang up. They aren't really interested, in my opinion. But that's kind of where you're going to find a lot of decision makers. Some will say, I'm interested. Yeah, I'll schedule a meeting, because then they'll get that information during that meeting. But some just won't. They'll feel like, I don't want to waste your time. That's okay too. Yes, Heidi.
Okay, so what I get from that is you're basically listening to their tone, what they're not really saying, because you're like, yeah, just send me an email. When you said it that way, it was basically saying the same thing as, yeah, send me an email. I would like to look into that, but it was the tone that was different. So
Yeah.
you're really like engaging in that level of communication too, as you're making a decision to who's really saying yes and who's saying no.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I say listen to the tone, because sometimes there's more behind the words that they're saying, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's because some people are very comfortable stating exactly what they think, and they just might not be comfortable on the phone and they don't know how to say. I say something like, if you're one of those kind of people that's too nice to tell me no, look, I'm not going to yell at you. I'm not going to get mad. I'm not going to go online and start talking crap about you. You could, because I really want to know. If they're not interested, I'm not here to pressure them in a way that they're not going to feel comfortable with. And I feel like that actually reflects on me as a person. I want to be seen as a person of integrity that people can feel comfortable saying no to. And I also find that most people don't just, there's more times people just flat out say no, not interested, and that's okay. But that usually comes through in an email. They'll reply to that. But when you're talking with an actual decision maker, I find that they appreciate when you reach out. They really will say something like, I don't think I'm interested, but I'm curious. And it might be something we'd look at in the future. So to me, a no means not right now. But yeah, if they're totally like, the tone says, I'm interested or I'm not interested, but their words say, yeah, send me info. It is more of a brush off because some people might really be interested. You send them information and then they realize they're really not interested. That's okay too, because I think they genuinely meant what they said. And that's what I find with real decision makers will treat you with respect when you approach with respect towards them, if that makes sense.
I appreciate that feedback because it's a different perspective of how I guess my perspective of cold calls is. It's like, I'm going to call them, I'm going to interrupt them, they're going to be mad. Oh, they're going to be mad. Then they're going to probably think about how mad they are like the rest of the day that I interrupted their phone call. But what you're telling me in your experience that it's completely different. They're like, oh, this person's actually calling with something useful. And I appreciate that. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Definitely. And I can't emphasize it enough because if they're really busy, they're just not going to pick up the phone. That's why leaving a voice message is so critical. And on your voice message, you say, I'm going to send you information by email. Please take a look, decide from there. You can reply. And sometimes I even throw in, if you're like a lot of people, replying to the email is easier than calling. So you can reply, or you can always give me a call. But I let them know, just reply to the email because some people will reply. And then you're really kind of hearing that because what I have experienced when you approach with that positivity and a sincere excitement that you'd really like to earn their business and you're excited about what you're doing and how you serve others, real decision makers like to hear from people like you that have a positive message. And you might be interrupting their day, but you aren't. I teach people, like I had this one lady, she was like, why would I spend all day calling and then try to have long conversations with people hoping to make a sale? And I says, you don't have long conversations on the first call. Your first call, you may have a good conversation and you may even gain some like some decision makers will say, this is what we're really trying to work on, or this is the challenge we have. They'll confide in you. But that's usually after you've said, hey, I'd like to schedule a meeting. And they, okay, we'll meet Tuesday at 2:00 or whatever. They're already feeling comfortable enough with you to disclose more about what they would like to talk about. But you probably already had that. And I also find that on the very first call, I'm not going to say it never happens, but it's not as likely that they're going to schedule. If you just, if I call and I get somebody on the phone, I haven't even sent them an email, I haven't even left a message. Most times, if they are interested, they're going to say, send me information and here's my email. That's fair because they don't have enough information to say yes, but they don't really want to say no. So they're kind of in that mid state. So I actually like it when people don't answer. I want to leave a voice message. I want to send that email. And then I want to call again, leave another message. And by the third, fourth, fifth, who knows how many calls it takes. But if they really are interested, because your tone of voice is going to tell them enough about you that they say, wow, I want to talk to this person. Or I know that if I tell them I'm not interested, they're not going to keep calling me. They're not going to be a pest. But usually if they answer, they're going to give you an answer. Yeah, I'd like to schedule. Or, hey, Janet, I really appreciate the calls and I've listened to your messages, got your emails, but we're really happy with who we're using. Good luck. But they mean that sincerely, but they're just not interested. But they don't get upset at you for doing your job, your work. So that's something it took me a long time to kind of get over that too, about, I'm going to upset somebody. But I find the opposite is so true, especially in today's world where I called just kind of doing some test calling. Actually, it was for Lynn Tickner with Catherine's group. And probably there were 3 or 4 people. They said, "Oh, I thought you were a scammer," or I thought you were one of those telemarketers." They thought that I was a fraudster, but I wasn't trying to sell them. I'm trying to direct them. I'd like to send you information by email, visit our website, and decide from there. But it opened up a whole new world of the reality is, by the time the call ended, they were like, "Thank you for calling. It's just good to hear from somebody that you feel a connection with." And that's what, in my opinion, phone calls make a difference. Anyway, I could talk forever, but I need to get back to the presentation. So, I do have a checklist and a guide, and I'll put that in the chat for you that you can download. And spreadsheets or CRMs both work. Use what works for you. I usually tell people to start with a spreadsheet because you can always upload that to a CRM. And so you gain by appointment settings, website optimization, because I have one client where I just push traffic to their website. I'm calling on engineers, and I'm not an engineer. So you can do all these in the same boat, so to speak. So as you're trying to schedule meetings and appointments, you're also going to optimize your website because people need to know more about you and who you are, what you have to offer. So you're going to drive traffic to your website. That's how they're going to learn more about you, or landing page, whatever you have there. And then you're also going to gain by, names of the decision makers. You're going to have their emails, maybe a direct phone number, maybe even talk to an executive assistant or an office manager, somebody that kind of says, "We might be interested. I know the owners were thinking about doing something like that." So you're gaining that information over the phone that you can never do those types of things with digital alone, in my opinion. I mean, I guess you can, but it gives that personal touch. So, and so what I'm doing, I'm having a special offer, which I do the done for you and group learning sessions. And I need to go to, okay, so here's my website. I have the done for you. I'm doing group learning, and you can also purchase fractional time, basically 15-minute intervals if anybody ever wanted to book more one-on-one time, but not have to pay for a whole hour. So I call it the cold calling starter kit, the done for you. I basically do everything for you. I make phone calls, I set up the email template, but I will say most companies I've worked with, they have a list because they know who they want to reach out to. Prices start at about $1,000. So the group learning, and I see more like individuals, sole entrepreneurs, executive assistants, or, just individuals maybe doing this. But these are all the kind of the topics that I talk about. Just pretty much anything and everything when it comes to phone calls. Like I said, I could talk all day. So on the pricing, on the group trainings, we'll meet at least once, but I believe I could make it like on Mondays and Fridays. And that's every week that you pay monthly. And you attend as often as you want, as much help as you want. And I just give you all the instruction, the guidance, help you, encourage you, support you, give you real world sort of, this is what I find works, how to leave better voice messaging or live messaging. And because, I don't want to say it's easy, but I think anybody can, I feel like if I can learn to do this, anybody can learn it because, I didn't have all the higher education. I didn't have all the opportunities. I grew up in the Midwest in a rural area of Missouri. I did go to college, but I'm a college dropout. I did take a course at UCF as a business incubation, sort of a program they have. And it just gave me that extra boost and confidence to try and do all this on my own, even though I do work with others. But, I'm a sole proprietor. It's just me, myself, and I, so to speak. So the monthly is $79 per month, and that's with a 12-month commitment. So it'd be a subscription. And if you do want to do that and you purchase by Friday, I'm even giving an extra discount. So it'd only be $59 per month for the first 12 months. If you don't want to give the 12-month commitment, that it'd be $109 a month. But if you did that by Friday, I would make that at $99 a month. And the checklist and guide. I will put that in here in the chat. So, any questions?
I think that was an awesome presentation, Janet.
Thanks. It's been a while since I've used Zoom. I've been on meetings, but I've never actually been the one to host. So this is kind of new for me. So I appreciate you saying that, Heidi. Thank you. So I put the, it's a checklist and guide that I put together. It just let me know if it even works, because I want to be sure I gave you the right link.
No, it didn't work.
It didn't work. I had a feeling.